Testing, testing. Hello and welcome to the Christian Kabbalah channel. My name is Shimon Klinger, and this is a completely impromptu live stream. But I am coming to you because tonight is the most powerful night of spirituality according to Kabbalah. The reason is because on the day of the death of a righteous soul, their full energy is available. And tonight is the night, or these next 24 hours or so, is the night that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, which is one of the most powerful, one of the greatest sages within Kabbalah. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is the author of the Zohar, and he was the one that was chosen to bring the light of the Zohar into the world. Now, I am aware that to many Christians, they have likely never heard of the Zohar or have yet to have heard of the Zohar. But as we have spoken about in other videos, the Zohar is the most powerful tool that we have to connect to our soul, to connect to our very essence, to remove darkness, and to bring the light of the Creator into our lives. Now, I know what you might be thinking, which is this something that Christians are able to connect with? Does this align with Christianity? And according to the Zohar, that this wisdom, the light of the Zohar, is available to any spiritual person that would like to access it. It is not something that is relegated to a particular religion. It is something that is available to any spiritual seeker that wishes to find greater connection with the soul that exists within them and with God. And so on this most powerful night, I am coming to you with the hopes that you will be able to see this and thereby connect with this most powerful energy, which will then give you a source of light, a source of health, a source of spiritual connection that will last throughout the entire year. This night, this connection happens once a year and gives us the ability to tap into the deepest reaches of spirituality, the deepest part of ourselves, the deepest part of the Torah. And as you will find out, the teachings of the Zohar are completely aligned with the messages of Jesus. And so therefore the answer is yes. Any spiritual Christian who wishes to find themselves or wishes to find a tool that will help them remain more connected to the essence of the Christian spiritual path can use the Zohar in order to help them with their spiritual journey. Because as we know, it is very difficult at times to remain connected to the light or to God. There are so many forces in this world that are trying to steal us away from the things that we know to be the most important things in life. There's our own spirituality, how difficult it can be to remain connected, how difficult it can be to do the right thing at all times. And that is why the light of the Zohar was given to us, is to assist us into making difficult decisions that we know to be right, And when we do those, that helps us create a better life for ourselves. So without further ado, I wanted to read the Zohar with you as a way for us to draw even closer to our soul, tapping into this great light of the Zohar, the great light of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the great light of spirituality, which will then assist us throughout the entire coming year. So we are going to be reading from Ha'azinu. The Zohar and the Torah are broken up into smaller portions. This particular portion is taken from a section in the end of Deuteronomy, and this is a commentary, if you want to say that. Let's put it this way: the topical commentary of the Zohar is referring to a section in Deuteronomy, but as we know, the light of the Zohar is so much greater than the intellectual benefit that we receive simply by reading it. So by tapping into the Zohar, by tapping into the letters and the vibrations, we will be tapping into this light, and we request the assistance of this great sage, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, to help us in whatever capacity we need spiritual help. We can ask for anything on this light, on this particular night. We can ask the assistance of the Zohar, of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, of Jesus, of the entire path that will help us throughout the coming year. So without further ado, let's read from the Zohar. Again, this is a commentary on a section in Deuteronomy. And as you will see, it's talking about what happened on this very day so many years ago. So we're starting with verse number 23. Ha'adra Zuta Kadisha. Tana be'ahu yomad Rabbi Shimon ba'al istalaka min alma de'ava me seder miloi. De'it kanshu chavraya lavi Rabbi Shimon de'avo kame Rabbi Elizar brei va Rabbi Abba ushar chavraya ve'ava malia beta zakif enoi Rabbi Shimon ve'chama va'it male Beta bacha Rabbi Shimon ve'amar be'zina achra kad chavena bave mare hava Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair kamai ve'ad devarina duktai orichu li ad hashta v'chad tavna aschar esha mikamai malmin la da'it pasak vela hava al barnash ela birishuta de hashta chamena da'it pasak ve'aha da'it male beta. And I'm going to just 1 second. There we go. Okay. Perfect. So we are here in verse number 23 in English. We learned that on the day that Rabbi Shimon wanted to depart from the world and was putting his affairs in order, the friends gathered in the house of Rabbi Shimon. Before him were Rav Elazar, his son, and Rabbi Abba and other friends, and the house was full. Rabbi Shimon lifted up his eyes and saw that the house had become full. Rabbi Shimon wept and said, "Another time when I was ill, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair was before me, and they waited for me until I inquired about my place in the Garden of Eden. When I returned, a fire encircled me, which never stopped. No one entered my house except by permission. Now I see the fire stopped, and behold, the house is full." Verse number 24. Ad de'avot yitveh, patak enoi Rabbi Shimon, vechama ma dechama ve'eschar, asha beveta nafku kulchu, va'ishtaru, Rabbi Elazar bare, Rabbi Abba ushar chavraya yitvu abrai. Amar Rabbi Shimon le Rabbi Elazar bre, puk chazei hacha Rabbi Yitzchak, de Tana me arvana le ema le disader miloi de yativ le gabai zaka'a hulke. Verse number 24. While they were sitting, Rabbi Shimon opened his eyes and saw what he saw, and fire encircled the house. Everyone left, and only Rabbi Elazar, his son, and Rabbi Abba remained, while the rest of the friends stayed outside. Rabbi Shimon said to Rabbi Elazar, his son, "Go out and see if Rabbi Yitzchak is here, because I was a guarantor for him. Tell him to settle his affairs and sit by he. Happy is his portion." Verse number 25. Verse number 25. Come Rabbi Shimon ve'yativ ve'chaich ve'chadeh amar. Ani nun chavraya kam Rabbi Elazar ve'ya'il lon yitvu kameh zakif yodoi Rabbi Shimon umatzale tzaluta ve'ava chadeh ve'amar inun chavraya de ishtakachu dave ada idara izdamnun hacha. Yafku kuchu da ishtaru Rabbi Elazar bare, ve Rabbi Abba, ve Rabbi Yehuda, ve Rabbi Yossi, ve Rabbi Chia, id hachi al Rabbi Yitzchak. Amar lo Rabbi Shimon kama, yaut chulakach kama chidu ba'elait osfa lach b'chai yoma yativ Rabbi Abba batar katfoy ve Rabbi Elazar kameh. Verse number 25. Rabbi Shimon rose and sat down, laughed and rejoiced. He said, "Where are the friends?" Rabbi Elazar rose and let them in, and he sat before him. Rabbi Shimon raised his hands, recited a prayer, and was glad. He said, "Let the friends that were present at the assembly, namely the Idro Rabbah, come here." They all left, and Rabbi Elazar, his son, Rabbi Abba, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chia stayed. In the meanwhile, Rabbi Yitzchak entered. Rabbi Shimon said to him, "How deserved is your portion? How much joy should be added to you on this day?" Rabbi Abba sat behind him and Rabbi Elazar before him. Verse number 26. Amar Rabbi Shimon, Cha chashta, shata de rutachu ve'ana beina de me'al belo kisufa le amadete ve'ha milin kadishin ve'la galiyan ad hashta beina le gala'a kame shachinta dala yamrun deha bigiruta de istalkana be'alma ve'ad ke'an tamirin havo be'liba'e le'me'al bahul le'amadete. Verse 26 in English. Rabbi Shimon said, "Now it is time of goodwill, and I want to come without shame into the world of come. Here are holy matters that I have not revealed until now. I wish to reveal them before the Shekhinah, so it shall not be said that I have gone from this world in want. Until now they have been hidden in my heart, so I can enter them into the world to come." Vekach as darna lachul Rabbi Abba iktov Rabbi Lazar bre ilae ushar chavraya yarakshun be labaychu kam Rabbi Abba mi batar katfoy vayativ Rabbi Elazar bare kame amar lo kum bri deha achre yativ beachu atar kam Rabbi Elazar. This is how I'm going to arrange you. Rabbi Abba shall write, Rabbi Elazar, my son, shall recite orally, and the other friends shall speak in their hearts. Rabbi Abba rose from behind his back. Rabbi Elazar was sitting in front of him. Rabbi Shimon said to him, "Rise, my son, for another shall sit in this place." And Rabbi Elazar rose. Verse number 28. Itataf ba Rabbi Shimon yativ, patak ve'amar lo chamatim yahalu ya velo kol yordei duma. La chamatim yahalu ya chachihu vadai. Inun de'ikrun matim daha kuchabrichu chai ikre bachu share ben inun de'ikrun chaim vela im inun de'ikrun matim ve'sofe dikra kativ velo kol yorde dumach vachal inun de naktin le duma begeniham begeninam de ishtarun shane inun de krun chaim de hakuchabrechu be bikrehon. English, number 28. Rabbi Shimon wrapped himself in his garment and sat down. He started by saying, "The dead cannot praise Yah, nor can any who go down in silence." Duma. Surely the dead cannot praise Yah are those who are considered dead, because the Holy One, blessed be He, is called living and dwells among those who are called living, namely the righteous, and not with those that are considered dead, namely the wicked. The end of the verse proves it, as it is written, "Nor can any who go down into Duma," namely all those who go down to the angel Duma and remain in Gehinnom. But it is not so with those who are called the living, the righteous, that the Holy One, blessed be He, delights to honor. I suppose it's a good opportunity at this point to describe what Gehinnom is. Unlike the Christian view of hell, which is eternal, the Zohar speaks about this place after death that some go to, which is called Gehinnom, which could be considered like a hell, except that it is not necessarily an eternal place, and instead it is a place of cleansing. The Zohar, as it says here, those who are righteous, and in this particular case, the righteous are considered those people who are actively striving towards becoming more and more like the light, more and more godly, more and more like Christ. You can say that for sure. Those people do not end up in Gehinnom. The people who are in Gehinnom are those people, and let's be honest here, we are, there are parts of each one of us that are righteous, especially if we're listening to this particular video or live stream. We're all trying to strive to become better and better. At the same time, there's parts of us that are not yet refined. And so, again, those people who are, not everyone will be headed to Gehinnom, but those people who are not connected to their soul, they go to a temporary place of cleansing, which can definitely, so the Zohar says, it's like a hell, but after that cleansing process, they are then lifted after that process. So that is what Gehenom is. Verse number 29. Amar Rabbi Shimon, Kama, Shanaya Shata da me idra, div idra is daman kuchabrechu, ur tichoy, vehashta ha kuchabrechu, hacha veate, im inun sarkaya, div ginta de den. Madala ira'u be idra, Vekuchabrechu ba'e bikrehon, de sarakaya yatir mikra, dile kama diktiv bir ba'am, de ava mekater falach le einzain vekuchabrechu orich le, vechevan de oshit yade le kavle de ido, navia it yabash, ידה דקטיב ותבש ידו וגו ולא לפלח להנזין לכתיב אלא על די אושית ידי לעידו נביאה והשתה קודשה ברכו לבקרה דילן וכלכו אתן אימה. Verse number 29 in English. Rabbi Shimon said, how different is this time from the Idra Rabbah in the portion of Naso, since in the Idra, the Holy One, blessed be he, came with his chariots. And now the Holy One, blessed be he, is here, coming with the righteous that are in the Garden of Eden, which has not happened at the Idra. And the Holy One, blessed be he, delights in the honor of the righteous more than in his own honor, as it is written about Jeroboam, that he used to make offerings and worship idols. Yet the Holy One, blessed be he, waited for him and did not punish him. But since he stretched his hands against Iddo the prophet, his hand dried up, as it is written, his hand dried up. This is from 1 Kings 13:4. It is not mentioned because he worshipped idols, but because he put out his hand against Iddo the prophet. Now the Holy One, blessed be he, delights in our honor as the righteous in the Garden of Eden came with him. Verse 30. Amar, ha rav hamnusava, hacha vesachrane, aina sarike, glifan beitrin, me naharin, kol chad vechad mizihara, de ziva de atika kedisha stima dacho stimin. V'chu ate la mishma bechedveta elen milin deana ema ad deava yativ amar ha Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair hacha la'it kinu dukte izdazu chavraya deavo taman ve'kamo va'itvu b'shipule beta be'Rabbi Lazar be'Rabbi Abba de'ishtaru kame Rabbi Shimon. Amar Rabbi Shimon be'idra de'ishtakachana dechal chavraya de'avo amre ve'ena imchom hashta ema ena bilchodoi ve'kuchu saitin le miluli ilayin vetatayin v'zaka'a hulaki yomach den. Again, I would like to remind everyone out there that the best way to receive blessings, receive those things that we want most in this world, is by meditating and praying for others. Again, as we are reading the Zohar, we are tapping into great light. And in the same way that when you walk into a dark room, the darkness simply is transformed when we flip on the light switch. The power of the Zohar is to do that into dark areas of our life. We can meditate and think about the things in our life that are most troublesome. And by dedicating this reading, the light of the Zohar, the light of Rabbi Shimon, the light of this day, to these areas of our life, they can and will be transformed. We can be assured of that. We can. That said, the most effective way to receive the things that we want and most in life is to meditate for others. Who do you know that needs light? Someone might be sick. Someone might be suffering. Someone might be going through extreme financial hardship. Someone might have recently lost their job. They need help finding what's next. I mean, let's be honest. Everyone out there, everyone is going through something, and everyone needs light in their life to help them. So not only can we and should we meditate for those things that we want the most, but we need to send this light to others to assist them. And it's through that process of receiving the light of the Zohar and then sending out that we're able to truly transform the things that we want most in life. Verse number 31. Petach Rabbi Shimon ve'amar ani le'dodi ve'alai teshukato kol yomim da'ish takrana b'chai alma v'chad katira da'it katrena be'kucha brechu uv'kin kach hashta ve'alai teshukato decha v'chol siyuta kadisha dile ato le mishma bechedva milen stimin ushvacha de atika kadisha stima dochol stimin parish v'itparash mikola decha parish decha kola be talking. And I was attached with the one connection with the Holy One, blessed be He. Hence now His desire is towards me. For He and all His holy camp have come with joy to listen to the hidden words and the praise of the most hidden Atika Kadisha, which is separated and divided, yet is not divided, since everything cleaves to Him and He cleaves to everything. He is everything, talking about the light of the Creator. So again, I know that I've talked about this in previous videos. I think it's important that that I talk about it now. And that is the power of the Hebrew letters, the power of the Aramaic. Now, for the Christians out there, you may know that Jesus spoke the language that we are speaking right now. Aramaic is a sister language to Hebrew, and it was the language of the people. Hebrew was not spoken at the time of Jesus by the people. This is the language of Aramaic. The Zohar teaches that the power of the Aramaic, the power of the Hebrew letters, is the conduit through which the light force of God is opened into this world. And so therefore, we read the Aramaic to make that connection with the light. And then in order for our intellect to be able to understand what is written, we read the English as well. The English also gives us a hint as to the type of lights that are being revealed. So that, for example, when we are talking here about Atika Katisha, for example, this represents one of the highest realms that is as close to the light. So Kabbalah teaches, and there are extensive studies about this, that we are indeed connected to the highest realms of the upper worlds, and the light is basically filtered and tempered in order to reach this particular world. So Atika Kadisha, again, as we were reading this, we are connecting with that, and through this we are affecting change in our lives. So we're going to go to the next section. That was chapter number 6. Go to chapter 7. So this calls us the 9 lights that glow with the establishment of Atika. I should also add 2, along with the Aramaic. that what is most important, again, is the Aramaic. That we can, yeah, I actually already said that. So verse number 32. Let's just get into the Aramaic. Atika dachal atikin stima b'chol stimin itakan vela da itakan atakan bagin la kaima b'kola vela da itakan begin dala shakiach. Number 32. The most ancient among the ancient, Atika, which is called the unknown head, which is most concealed, and was established and yet not established. So again, this is talking about Atika Kadisha. And when it says here, the unknown head, it's talking about the uppermost reaches of the upper worlds. So we have the light that emanates from the Creator, and that gets filtered down to this very physical level. And it's saying here that it was established yet not established, meaning that it has always existed. Atika Kadishia was established in order to maintain everything, but from its own aspect, it was not established because its own establishments reveal nothing of its own nature and cannot be found. It is incomprehensible. Number 33. Kad itarkan apik tet nachirin de lahatin mine deit kunoi veinun nachirin mine deit naharin umit lahatin ve'azlin umit pashtan umishpatin lachal ivar kevutzina deit pashtin mine nachirin lachal ivar vainun nahirin da mit pashtin kad ikravun le minda lon vel la shakiach ela botzina bil chodoi kach hu atika kadisha hu botzina ila astima dachol stimin vela shakiach bar inun nahirin de mit pashtan de mit galian ut miran veinun ikrun shama kadisha uvegin kach kolachad. When it was established, it produced 9 lights, which are the 9 Sefirot Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yosod, and Yosod of Arich and Pin, the garments which are Abba and Ima, male and female, that glow from it. From the unknown head, from its establishments. These 9 lights shine from it with Chassidim, glow from it with Gevurot, and spread in every direction to both Chokmah and to Chassidim. Like a candle from which lights stream in every direction. When one approaches to observe the spreading lights, only the candle alone can be observed. That is, the candle and the lights streaming from the candle are not two things, since the light spreading from it has no self-existence or power, because all its existence lies within that candle. If you take the candle to a different place, the lights shall spread in a different place, and nothing will remain of them in the former place. Such is Atika Kadisha. It is a lofty, most hidden candle, incomprehensible save for the lights spreading from it, some of which are revealed, some of which are hidden. They are called the holy name. But the lights spreading from Atika Kadisha have no self-existence, heaven forbid. All their existence is within Atika Kadisha, for although they are comprehensible, and Atika Kadisha is not, like light streaming from the candle, for that reason alone, it is all one. So what is this Zohar talking about? This is really arcane, difficult language to understand. And I don't understand it fully, but what I can tell you is that it is describing pure light, pure light from the upper worlds. It is using language that we are familiar with when it's talking about right here, the candle and lights streaming. It is comparing things because it is so supernal. The light that is talking about, it is so removed from this physical world that we live in that there's really no words to describe it. So the one of the things that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai did is to make comparisons to the things that we're familiar with in order to describe the aspects of the upper worlds, the aspects of the upper heavens, in ways so that we can begin to comprehend them. Verse number 34. Uma de amre chavrana de sifre kadma'e dainun dargin da it bari'u da atika kadisha da itgale bahu bachal chad v'chad mishum dainun tikunin de atika kadisha lav hashta I dana lechane milin deha amena lon be idra kadisha vechamena ma dala yadana hachi ve'ad hashta astin be libae mila vehashta ana bil chodoi da asrana da asidna kame maka kadisha b'chol chane zakae kashot de atu le mishma milin ilen. Number 34. The friends have said in ancient books that the changes spreading from it are created grades. That is, they come into being through the establishments created, and that Atika Kadisha is revealed through each of them, since they are constructions of Atika Kadisha. That is, they are types of covers over the illumination of the blessed endless light, and through these covers, the lower beings are able to comprehend it. Its creation is in relation to people, but in the light itself, there are no change, heaven forbid. It is like a man who puts on clothes to appear before his neighbors. That man is not affected at all by these covers, though others are. This is not the time for these matters because I've already spoken of them in the Holy Idra, but now I realize what I have not known that well, which until now was hidden in my heart. Now I alone testify before the Holy King and before all the truly righteous who come to hear these matters. Again, this is Rabbi Shimon speaking. Let's go to the next chapter. The skull of Atika. Now, this is interesting, my friends. This is a very interesting subject for us, meaning for Christians. Let's read the synopsis, and then we'll speak about it. Here, Rabbi Shimon talks about the skull of the head of Arechinpin and the flow that spreads and shines from it. We hear about the dew of plenty that drips every day to Zerampin, and with which the dead will be resurrected in the time to come. Within that head, the supernal wisdom is hidden, that is called the supernal brain. It cannot be comprehended by itself. All right. So let's talk here about this very first word. Okay. It's gul gata. You can see right here. Refers to the skull. The reason why this is important for Christians is because you might recognize gul gata when we anglicize that, or when we transliterate that word, it becomes Golgotha. Now, I don't know how much research you may have done on Golgotha, the place of the skull, right? This is the place where Jesus was crucified. But in the historical record, Golgotha cannot be found, meaning the place of Golgotha. And it has remained a mystery. What is Golgotha? Well, here it tells us. Here we are talking, right? You see here where it says Keter. Keter is the highest realm. In fact, let's see if we can find quickly a tree of life. Okay. We go this one. And a new tab. So this is this looks very intimidating, maybe. But what is this? So this is a pathway, we can say, for how light is manifested into this world. Everything that we exist in our physical existence exists down here. This is Malchut. It's called kingdom. It translates to kingdom. Kabbalists generally don't call it kingdom. They mostly call it Malchut. And all of these different branches and all of these different circles are different emanations. And up here at the very top is Keter. You can see Keter translates to crown. And it represents the highest realm before the light itself. So again, Kabbalah teaches that that everything in this world is filtered and connected. It has a root in the light, and that light is basically then transformed slowly into all these different realms until it arrives down into our world. The reason why that's important for us, for Christians, is because Golgotha refers to Keter. And this is not really the time or place to go into or I should say, I'm not prepared to talk about the significance of Golgotha and how it relates Kabbalistically, and how Jesus' crucifixion at Golgotha has spiritual significance. But what we can connect to for sure is Jesus's crucifixion, the spiritual ramifications for us as an instruction guide, meaning to lay our own life down, as we talked about in the last live stream. Whenever we lay down our ego, whenever we lay down our life, especially for the benefit of others, whenever we make difficult decisions that we know are good for us, that are good for others, when we self-sacrifice for the benefit of others, what this does is it taps into the highest realms and thereby changes the type of experiences that we will experience. This is how our lives change when we are acting in proactive measures for the benefit of ourselves and for everyone else around us. Kabbalah speaks at length about this process and what we can do proactively to better our own lives by bettering those people's lives surrounding us. How can we add value to the people around us, to the world in general? And when we do that, there's the proverbial skin in the game, right? Because if we go outside of ourselves, make difficult decisions, lay our life down for our friends, as Jesus talked about, we benefit directly. We manifest the things that we want, or we take steps closer to manifesting our greatest desires and dreams. This is the power of Golgotha. This is the power of it. But let's continue. Let's continue. Number 35. We are right over here. Golgotha de reshe chivra velav be shirota de siuma kultera de tikfoy da'it pashat, da'it nahir, umine itrun tzedakaya, dadid de almin de kusufin le amadete, bachai kutera le kitfa, dehi Golgotha, again Golgotha, chivra natif tala kol yoma deahu za'ir and pin, le atar da itkare shemaim uve zimnin matia le achia ul zimna deate diktiv vaiten lecha ha elokim mital hashemaim va'it malia rashe umahu zeir and pin natif le chakal tipuchin v'chol chakal tipuchin nachirin me'achut tala. Let's see what the Zohar says about Golgotha. 35. The skull, Golgotha, namely Keter, of the white head, namely the head of Arich and Pin, which is holy white, the secret of the reign of Chesed, which is loving kindness, has neither beginning nor ending, for revealing Chokhmah, the secret of the supernal Chokhmah and the lower Chokhmah. For the flow of Chokhmah and the flow of Chassidim are joined in it into one light of Chassidim. Its joint flow spreads and shines from it, and from it the righteous receive 400 desirable worlds for the world to come. From the joint flow, which is the white head, dew drips, namely plenty, daily to Zeranpin, which is a place called heaven. With it, that dew, the dead shall be resurrected in the future to come, as it is written, therefore Elohim give you the dew of the heaven, namely the dew of Zeranpin, that is called heaven, and from his head is filled. From Zeranpin it flows to the field of the apple trees, which is Malchut, and the whole field of apple trees radiates with this dew. Wow, so very difficult to understand. At this point, let's just go on to the next line. It's important to know what's there, but what we really want to do is connect to the uppermost reaches of the light. We want to connect to God through this, drawing down this energies into our world for ourselves and for others. Chai Atika Kadisha, we're right here. Tamir ve'ganis ve'chokmata ela'as dima'a be'achu Golgotha mish takach v'dai b'chai Atika la it galia ela rashe bilchodoi bagin daichu resha v'chol resha v'chokma la'ad daichu resha stim v'ikre mocha ela'a mocha stima mocha deshakich v'shakit velet ve'deida le bar ichu. You want to read?
2 verses.
Okay, great. Number 36. This Atika Kadisha, which is Arich and Pin, is hidden and obscured and concealed supernal Chokhmah of Arich and Pin is in that skull, which is Golgotha, which is the Keter of Arich and Pin. Surely the head alone was exposed in that Atika because it is the beginning or head of every beginning. Supernal Chokhmah, which is a head, is hidden within it, the head of Arich and Pin, and it is the supernal brain, covered brain, which the subdued and quiet brain, none can comprehend it save itself. Right, so this is number 8. We're going to go to number 9, and I am really happy right now, everyone, to have a special reader. My wife is going to sit and read with us. I don't know if there's anyone on the stream right now, which is okay. But yeah, we are connecting to Rabbi Shimon. This is her. You want to say hi?
Hello.
Okay, so just a heads up. So we this is what's showing right now. So you are on camera here. It's also showing the screen. So Yeah, and you might want to go through and read it with this so people can see where it's at.
Some of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do this now.
Yeah, we can.
The synopsis. We learn about the three heads that are imprinted one inside another and one over another. One of these is concealed chokhmah, one is the most hidden atika kadisha, and the third is absolutely incomprehensible. Rabbi Shimon talks about the hairs that comes out of the skull of Rabbi Chanpin. We learn that the hairs are all smooth and equal in weight. He says that Atika always abides in the 13 attributes of mercy. Verse 37. Tlat Rishin Idgalfan Da Lego Minda Veda Le'ela Minda Reisha Chada Chokhmata Stima'a De'itkasya Velav Mitpatcha V'chokhmata Da Stima'a Reisha Lechol Reshe Dish'ar Chokhmot Reisha Ila'a Atika Kadisha Setima Dechol Setimin Reisha Dechol Reisha Reisha Delav Reisha Velo Yada Velo Ityeda Ma Dehave Bereisha Da Dela Itdebak Bechokmeta Vela Besuch La Tanu Ve'al Hai Ikre Berach Lecha El Mekomecha V'hachayot Ratzo Vashov.
37. The heads were imprinted one inside the other. That is concealed chokmah inside the skull, and one over the other, namely the unknown head above the skull. He explains, one head is concealed chokmah, which is undisclosed and unopened. The concealed chokmah is a beginning to every other beginning of other chokmot. This is the first head from below upwards. The second head is a supernal head, the most obscured Atika Kadisha, which is the skull of Eri Chimpin. The third head that is lofty above everything is the head for every head, a head that is not a head. That is, its being a head indicates it is a beginning of expansion and comprehension. Yet this head is entirely incomprehensible, because no one knows nor it is known what is in this head, because it is attached neither to Chokmah. Chokmah translates to wisdom, nor to Tevuna. It is thus considered, therefore now flee to your place. This is from Numbers 24:11. And the living creatures ran and returned. This is Ezekiel 1:4, because no comprehension can apply there. So what this is referring to, again, I can't go into details about it because I don't even understand it fully myself. But what I can tell you is that it is describing the upper reaches of heaven, basically, as the light descends into and manifests into our world. This is where it originates from. And again, this language is just simply metaphors to talk about pure light.
Verse 38. ובגינך חתיקה קדישה יקרה עין, דווה תליה עין, וכל אינון שערה, וכל אינון נימין, ממוחה סתימאה נפקין, וכולהו שאיין בשיקולה, ולה יתחזה כדלה.
Okay, so another thing that we have to explain here, right, is you can see that the Zohar portion is just basically a line and a half. And you can see that the translation from it is this whole huge paragraph. And the reason is because the lines that are basically regular are the direct translation of the Zohar. Whereas the uppercase letters was added by a great Kabbalist known as Rav Yehuda Ashlag, who lived at the beginning of the 1900s, through I think the 1950s or so. And he was given the task of of adding or making the Zohar more understandable. Now, you have to admit that even what is in capitals is still extremely difficult to understand. But there are other sections that are much easier to understand with the commentary of Rav Ashlag. So let's read 38. For this reason, Atika Kadisha, which is the skull of Arechenpin, is called Nat, since Nat derives from it, from the unknown head. That is, since this head, the skull, is close to the unknown head, which is utterly incomprehensible, it too is incomprehensible, and therefore called Nat, which indicates its complete incomprehensibility. For that reason, all hairs and tiny hairs over the skull do not come out of the skull, because no judgments are attached to it, but they come out of the concealed brain, which is the beginning of the expansion of Chokmah, for supernal Chokmah spreads from it. This Chokmah, again, Chokmah translates to mean wisdom, is eventually revealed in Malchut, which is this world that we live in, where there is place for judgments. The hairs are the root of the judgments, as in, for he crushes me with a tempest or a hair. So the word for tempest in Hebrew is also the word for a hair. This is coming from Job 9:17. So they're using Job, this particular verse in Job, to explain these very, very lofty ideas. Hence, the hair of the head and brain and beard come out from the concealed brain, though in this case there are no judgments in the hairs, but roots only. Therefore they are all smooth. That is, soft without judgment, and they are all equal in weight, because everything here is of the same light of mercy, and the back of the neck is invisible, which indicates judgments and hind parts according to the verse, and they have turned their back to me and not their face. This is from Jeremiah 32:33. Number 39.
כל ההוא בגין דהייתיקה קדישה בחד הווה, קולה בחידו ולה שניה מרחמי לעלמין. בתלת עשר מחילן לרחמין ישתכח, בגין דהי חוכמתה סתימאה דווה. מתפרש תלת זמנין לארבע ארבע, והוא עתיקה כליל לון ושליט על קולה.
Verse number 39. All of this stems from the fact that this Atika is of the same light, namely the reign of Chassidim, which is why there are no room for judgments to appear. It is all in joy and never changes from the illumination of mercy. That is, though we distinguish between the three columns, right, left, and central in it, it never strays from the aspect of the right column and is ever of mercy and Chassidim in nature. It abides in the 13 attributes of mercy, because the hidden Chokmah in it divides 3 times into 4s, which is 12, and it, Atika itself, includes them and rules over everything. Together with it, there are 13 attributes. I think maybe we go to, let's see here. Maybe we go to a section that might be a little bit more interesting or might be more understandable. We are in Hazino, and there's all these 3 meals of Shabbat, opening of the eyes.
It's interesting about the haircut tomorrow. Interesting, no?
Yeah. You want to read that? I was thinking down here with the skulls there. Hair, chest, and forehead. These are all just like really, really difficult things to understand. Maybe not. I think we read this. Does have Golgotha in it too? Yeah. All right. So again, we're going to be talking more about Golgotha. You can see that is this word right here, Golgotha or Gulgata. It goes into more depth with it. So we'll read the synopsis. We read how dew drips from the skull of Arechinpin. By the way, dew represents energies coming down from the upper worlds. So the dew drips from the skull of Arechinpin to the skull of Zeranpin, and from there to Malchut, where it sustains everything. From this dew, manna is ground for the righteous in the world to come, and through it, the dead will be revived. This is talking about the end of days when the dead will actually be arisen, but it also talks about reviving our own dead parts within us. How do we resurrect our own parts? Rabbi Shimon talks about how this dew dripped when Israel was wandering in the wilderness. As this event never happened at any other time in the world, we learned that children, length of life and sustenance depend not on merit, but instead on mazal. Lastly, we hear that there is healing in the world only when Zerampin and Atika Kadisha face each other. Then everything is long-suffering. Verse 117.
בהי גולגלתה דזער אנפין, נטיף תלה מרשע חיוורה, וההוא תלה יתחזה בתרי גבנה. ומיני מצזן חקלה תפוחין קדישין, ומהי תלה דגולגלתה דה, תחנין מנה לצדיקיה לעלמא דעתה. ובזמינין מטיה לאחזיה, ולה הזדמן מנה דנפל מהי תלה, בר ההוא זמנה בזמנה דאזלו ישראל במדברה, וזן להו עתיקה דחולה מהייתה. מה דלה השתכח לבטר, הדאו דכתיב, הנני ממתיר לכם לחם מן השמיים. כמה דעת אמר, ויתן לך האלוקים מטל השמיים וגומר. היי בהוא זמנה, לזמנה אחרה תננן, קשים מזונותיו של אדם כמי קודשה ברכו. והא במזלה תליה במזלה ודאי. ועל כן בני חיי ומזוני, לה בזכותה תליה מילתה, אלא במזלה תליה מילתה, וכל התליין בהי מזלה, כמה דאוקים לה.
Verse 117. In this skull of Zerampin, again, we're talking about Golgotha, dew drips from the white head, which is the skull of Arechinpin, which appears in two colors. For though it is Hasidim that are considered white, nevertheless, some redness appear in it, which indicates the inclusion of Chokmah, which is what is meant by the color of Bedelium. This is from Ben Bamidbar, is Numbers 11:7. From Zerampin, the field of the holy apples, which is Malchut, is sustained. The dew is from this skull. Manna is ground for the righteous for the world to come, and through it the dead shall be revived. This dew never dripped except when Israel wandered into the wilderness, sustained by the most ancient from that place, the dew above the skull. And this never happened afterwards. This is the meaning of, behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, as in, therefore Elohim gave you of the dew of heaven, from Genesis. This verse is Genesis 27:18. For some of the dew of the skull of Arechinpin drips on the skull of Zerampin called heaven. This was at that time when they were fed by the dew of heaven. Other times we learned that man's sustenance is hard for the Holy One, blessed be He, because that time sustenance came from Mazal. Mazal certainly where there are judgments, and not from the dew of the skull of Arechinpin, which is holy of mercy. Hence, children, length of life, and sustenance do not depend on merit, but on Mazal. Everything derives from that Mazal, as we explained. That is the beard of Arechinpin. So let's talk a little bit about this idea of Mazal. Mazal translates to mean signs. Is that right? Signs. What is it? Signs. In essence, what it's referring to is one's destiny. Mm-hmm. Meaning that when we come into this world, according to Kabbalah, we have a program. We have a plan that is predetermined for our life. And we may not like, when we get into this world, we may not like what that particular plan is for us. You can see right here, specifically, these three things, according to the Zohar, are extremely difficult to change because they were pre-planned before we got here. Children, the length of life. So this talks about how long we will live in this world, but it also talks about the quality of life that we live, and sustenance, meaning how much income, how much financial prosperity are we going to experience. All three of these things, according to the Zohar, are written before we get in here, and as it says here, they do not depend on merit. And what that simply means is that they are extremely difficult to change. There are other things in this world that when we do a good action, the law of cause and effect thereby then ushers in new blessings to us. So when we go outside of ourselves, when we love other people, when it's extremely difficult to love them, then we receive certain blessings in our life. But what the Zohar teaches here is that these three things, children, length of life, and sustenance, they do not depend on merit. They depend on mazal. And what this means is, as I said, it's extremely difficult to change them. However, this is the night to rise to this realm. The realm is actually also called mazal, in order to change our destiny. Have you been seeking to have children but have been unable to have children? Are you inflicted with a particularly difficult disease, meaning is the quality of your life not what you would like it to be? Would you like to have greater financial income, greater financial prosperity? This is the night to ask for those things, because those things can be changed by the power of Rabbi Shimon, by the power of the light. Yeah.
Can you do it? תשעה אלפין ריבו אלמין, נטלין ושמחין על היי גולגלתה. והי אווירה דחיה התקליל בחולה, כיוון דהו כליל מקולה וחולה התקליל בה. התפשטו אנפוי ליטרן סיטרין בתרי נהורין כלילן מקולה. וחד הסתכלו אנפוי באנפין דעתיקה קדישה, קולה ערך אפיים יקרה. מהי ערך אפיים? אלא הכי תנינן בגין להאריך הפה לחייביה. אבל ערך אפיים, הסוותה דאנפין, דהלה השתכח הסוותה בעלמה, אלא בזמנה דאשגחין אנפין באנפין.
The 90 million worlds journey, the 90 million worlds journey and are supported by the skull, Golgotha. The pure air of Abba is included within all the grades of Zerampin, both to the right and to the left, which is why the face of Zerampin has expanded to two sides, right and left by two lights from Chasadim and Chokhmah that include everything. When the face of Zerampin looks to the face of Atika Kadisha, everything, both the face of Arechinpin and the face of Zerampin, is called long-suffering. We learned that it is long-suffering because he is long-suffering to the wicked, but long-suffering means healing come from the face, since long, aroch, means healing, derived from a verse in Jeremiah. For I will restore health, which Hebrew is arucha, to you. For there is healing in the world only when Zerampin and Atika Kadisha face each other. One more. Right.
Rabbi Shimon tells us about the three lights that shine within the cavity of the skull, and about how these lights spread throughout the body. We learn about the perfection of Jacob, who drew Chokhmah and bestowed it on Rachel and on Malchut. The Zohar says that Atika Kadisha is completely at one with the light of Chasadim alone, and the illumination of Chokhmah has no power over it. And thus there is joy in it for everyone, and life for everyone, and no judgments extend from it. 119. בחללה דגולגלתה נהירים תלת נהורים, ואי תמה תלת ארבעינון כמה דאמנה, אחסנתה דאבוי ואימה, וטרן גניזין דלהון, דמתעטרון כולהו ברשה, ואינון תפילין דרשה. לבטר מתחברן בסטרוי ונהרין ואעלין בתלת חללי דגולגלתה. נפקין כל חד בסטרוי ומתפשטין בכל גופה.
Number 119. The three lights shine with the cavity of the skull, namely Chokhmah, Bina, and Dat. You may argue, you speak of three, yet there are four, as I mentioned, which are the inheritance of his father and mother, namely Chokhmah and Bina, the aspects of Abba and Ima he inherited, and the two parts of Dat which are hidden within them. They serve as crowns on the head of Arechenpin, of Zeranpin, as the head tefillin. And he answers, at first there were four lights, which later join at his sides. That is, the two parts of Dat are joined in him into one to reconcile Chokhmah and Bina and unite with them with each other, so they become three lights. They shine and enter the three cavities in the skull and come out, each from its own side, one from the right, one from the left, and the other from the middle, and spread throughout the body.
ואילן מתחברין בתרי מוחה ומוחת לטאה כלילון ואחיד בהי סתרה ובהי סתרה ומתפשט בכל גופה והתאבד מיני תרי גווני כלילן כחדה ומהי נהיר אנפוי ואסהיד באבא ואמא גווני דאנפוי והוא יקרא דעת בדעת כתיב כי אל דעות השם וגומר. בגין דיהו בתרי גווני לון נתקנו עלילות, אבל העתיק הקדיש הסתימאה לה נתקנו. מה טעם נתקנו להי, בגין דיריד תרן חולקי וכתיב אם חסיד תתחסד וגומר.
These four lights join to the two brain lobes, Chokhmah and Bina, and the third brain lobe that includes the two lobes and which is attached to this and that side, namely to the right, which is Chokhmah, and the left, which is Bina, and spreads throughout the body, and the two colors are formed in him, blended into one, namely the right within it, which is Chassidim, and the left within it, which is Chokhmah, are incorporated in it together. This causes his face to shine, and the colors of his countenance testify about Abba and Ima. That is, they shine with the color of Abba, which is Chassidim, and the color of Ima, which is Chokhmah. And he is called Da'at, of which it is written, for Hashem is an kel of knowledge, or knowledges. Literally, it translates as knowledges in the plural. This is coming from 1 Samuel 2:3. That is in the plural, because he has two colors, Chokhmah and Chassidim. Hence, it is written, with the merciful you will show yourself merciful. 2 Samuel 22:26. By shining Chassidim on him. And with the upright man, you will show yourself upright. By shining Gevorot on him, that is, with the illumination of Chokhmah, which is perfect, as upright means perfect. 121.
והבקשות הקימו חבריה, דכתיב, ויגד יעקב לרחל, כי אחי אביה הוא. ויגד ההוקמוה דחולה רזה דחוכמתה. וכי בן רבקה הוא, בן רבקה, ולה כתיב בן יצחק. רמז וחולה רמיזה בחוכמתה.
The friends explained it in truth, as it is written. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother. In relation to the word told, it has been explained that everything is the secret of wisdom, which means that the drawing of Chokmah, again, Chokmah means wisdom, is considered telling, and that he was Rivka's son. This comes again from Genesis 29:12. It is written Rivka's son instead of Isaac's son as an allusion, and everything is an illusion of wisdom. Ve'al chai ikre, shalim b'chola, uve itchatze mehamnuta, uvbegin kach kativ vayeged Yaakov ela kativ vayomer. For this, Jacob is considered perfect in every respect, and faith is evident in him. That is, he bestowed Chokmah on Malchut, called both Rachel and faith. The bestowing of Chokmah is considered telling. Hence, it is written, and Jacob told Rachel, which indicates the bestowing of Chokmah instead of said. Hane gavne, kama de naharin be itra, de resha be alin be chale, be gul galta, hachi mit pashtin, v'chol gufa, be gufa de itachid, bahu, le atika kedisha stima, la nit kanu, velo yaan, le daha kola, bechad de ishtakach, chidu be lechola, chaim lechola, la tlia be dina aval b'chai lo na nit kanu alilot badai. Verse number 123. This will be the last verse of our reading for tonight. Just as these colors of right and left in da'at shine in the adornment of the head and enter the cavities of the skull, so they spread throughout the body, and the body is attached to them. But for concealed atika kadisha, actions are not weighed, since there is no chokmah in it, and they are not suitable for it, because this atika kadisha is completely at one with the light of chasadim alone, and the illumination of chokmah has no power over it, and hence there is joy in it for all, life for all, and no judgments extend from it. But as for him, Zeranpin, by him actions are weighed. Surely, hence this verse is written one way and pronounced another. It is written by him, Hebrew lo lamed vav, and pronounced not lo lamed aleph, applying to atika and one to Zeranpin. So thank you very much for not only joining me, but my wife as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm so grateful
Thank you for having me.
I'm so grateful to have you here with us and to do this. So I hope you're able to connect with this light, to rise above our own destinies, to find greater destinies, to find greater blessings than those things that are deserved for us. We don't want just what we deserve. We want everything. Children, sustenance, blessings, prosperity. We want it all. And through the merit of the path of Kabbalah, through the merits of the path of the light of the Zohar and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Christians, Jews, Muslims, everyone who is spiritual is able to connect to this energy. I hope you're able to do that. I hope your life gets better because of it. See you guys all in the next video. Have an amazing night. Talk to you guys all soon.